Behind the decision to crucify Jesus were several important figures from the political and religious landscape of the time. These individuals made decisions that culminated in a historical event, unaware that they were about to witness one of the most significant events in the world: the crucifixion of Jesus. The sentence was in the hands of Pontius Pilate, the governor of Judea, who by issuing this order became one of the most remembered Roman rulers in history. He was from the region of Campania, near Benevento in southern Italy, and was the fifth magistrate to serve in the province of Judea, established in 6 AD by Emperor Augustus. The name Pontius comes from the Ponti family of plebeian origin in Rome. Although they were not part of the elite, this family managed to build wealth and prestige over the years, becoming influential in establishing important relationships. Pontius Pilate, due to his social status, was obliged to pursue a prominent career. He reached the position of governor of Judea thanks to the influence of his friend Lucius Aelius Sejanus, a trusted man of Emperor Tiberius, who helped secure his appointment to the position. Science has confirmed the existence of Pontius Pilate as a historical figure, validating what is reported about him in the 4 Gospels. Archaeology has identified coins minted in his name and an enigmatic copper ring with his motto, written in Greek, which was found at the site of Herodion, where the tomb of Herod the Great is located. Additionally, an inscription at the base of what may have been his statue was discovered in the city of Caesarea, dated between the years 26 and 36 of the 1st century, the period during which he governed. Resources about Pilate included the historian Flavius Josephus, the 4 Gospels, the historian Cornelius Tacitus, and the Jewish philosopher Philo of Alexandria. Philo describes Pilate as an inflexible, stubborn, and highly cruel man, who, from the beginning of his mandate, committed provocative acts against the Jewish people. According to the Creed, one of the most important prayers of the Catholic Church, Jesus Christ suffered under the power of Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. Thus, Pilate is directly mentioned in this traditional prayer. Today, we will unravel the mysteries of what happened to Pontius Pilate until his tragic death after authorizing the execution of Jesus on the Roman cross. How was the painful death of Pontius Pilate? Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and activate notifications so you don't miss our upcoming videos. In the moments leading up to Jesus' death, 3 events reveal the governor's indifference to the lives and beliefs of the Jews under his rule. These actions, among others, led several classical authors to describe him as a resolute anti-Semite who showed hatred and contempt for the Jewish people. It is worth remembering that Judea was not an easy region to govern. Pontius Pilate's main mission as governor was to administer, collect taxes, and maintain order in a province prone to conflicts due to the theological beliefs of the inhabitants and the clash between Roman culture and Jewish customs. Early in his mandate, Pilate caused great agitation by making one of his first decisions. He transferred his army in the winter, carrying standards with the image of Emperor Tiberius, from the capital Caesarea Maritima to Jerusalem, entering at night. This deliberately defied the Jewish prohibition against depicting human figures, especially that of the emperor. At dawn, the residents of Jerusalem strongly protested upon seeing the images at the mayor's residence. After 6 days of persistent protests, Pilate gathered the rebellious Jews at the stadium of Caesarea, where his army was on standby with drawn swords. However, the Jews, instead of being intimidated, threw themselves to the ground, challenging the soldiers. They were willing to die with their throats cut by the Romans, rather than allow the images of Tiberius to remain in the city. Another notable confrontation occurred when the governor insisted on hanging golden shields in his residence, with an inscription dedicated to Tiberius. Faced with Pilate's refusal to remove them, the Jews appealed to the emperor. Pilate also introduced pagan deities on the coins, something none of his predecessors had done, causing strong rejection among the people due to the governor's disrespect and provocation. On another controversial occasion. He decided to finance the construction of an aqueduct with funds from the treasury of the temple in Jerusalem, a measure considered especially offensive, since Augustus had prohibited the diversion of these sacred resources. The Jews responded with a large protest outside the governor's residence, to which Pilate responded brutally. Armed soldiers in disguise infiltrated the crowd and, on the mayor's orders, began to injure the protesters. According to Josephus and Philo of Alexandria, at least 100 Jews lost their lives during this incident. The historian Flavius Josephus reports that the crowd, shocked by this tragic massacre, remained silent. With bloodshed and repression, the protest was quelled, and Pilate succeeded in building the aqueduct. The four canonical Gospels describe the last days of Jesus' life, in which Pontius Pilate plays an antagonistic role. The Gospel of John offers a detailed account of the trial before the Roman governor. It is in this Gospel that Pilate makes the famous and philosophical question to Jesus: "What is truth?" However, without waiting for a response, Pilate concluded that Jesus was innocent and timidly tried to release him. His attempts, however, were quickly frustrated by the determination of the Jewish leaders, who were determined to see Jesus dead at any cost and did not hesitate to use questionable methods to impose their will on the governor. Pilate's trial can be divided into two parts: the interrogation of Jesus and the conclusion of his innocence in the face of the accusations. In John chapter 18, verse 38, Pilate asks Jesus, "What is truth?" However, faced with the firm determination of the Jewish leaders to see Jesus dead, Pilate finally yields. To dissociate himself from responsibility, he washes his hands in front of the crowd, declaring himself innocent of Jesus' blood. Pilate prioritized stability and peace in the region, as well as maintaining his position as governor. Over the life of a Jew he considered innocent. Another notable historical fact is that Pilate ordered the marking of Jesus' cross, placing a sign with the inscription, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." John reports that the sign placed by Pilate on the cross was written in three languages, Hebrew, Latin, and Greek, as a reference to Jesus' declaration as King of the Jews and his announcement of a kingdom. It suggests that the execution of Jesus was seen as a possible betrayal of the Roman Empire, as there was no kingdom other than Rome. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 27, verse 19, we find an interesting detail involving Pilate and his wife. His wife, whose name according to tradition was Claudia Procula, had a dream before the events related to the Passion of Jesus Christ. In this dream, she saw herself asking her husband, the Roman governor, to release Jesus, as she had suffered greatly in dreams because of him. This account adds an intriguing aspect to the story, suggesting that even Pilate's wife recognized Jesus' innocence and wished for his release. Although the life of Claudia Procula, Pilate's wife, is largely unknown, her intervention on behalf of Jesus is notable. According to Origen of Alexandria, God sent her the dream as a message, aiming for her conversion and that of her husband. A letter supposedly attributed to Pilate and addressed to Herod mentions his wife as Procula and alludes to the visions she had, suggesting a more remorseful Pilate. After the crucifixion of Jesus, the relentless actions of Pontius Pilate as governor of Judea continued. In the year 36 after Christ, a notable event marked the end of his mandate. In the region of Samaria, an individual self-proclaimed as the prophet emerged, calling Samaritan followers to ascend Mount Gerizim, considered sacred. Pilate interpreted this religious movement as an armed rebellion and mobilized a military force composed of infantry and cavalry. Some historical sources mention 2 groups of infantry and 1 squadron of cavalry involved in the operation. The outcome was tragic. The soldiers intercepted the pilgrims in the village, resulting in the death of many of them. Additionally, the governor ordered the execution of the surviving leaders of the movement. The indignation throughout the province of Judah was intense. The governor of Syria, Lucius Vitellius, Pilate's superior, sent him to Rome to answer the accusations of mismanagement in the province, replacing him with a man named Marcella. When Pilate finally arrived in Rome months later, he had some hope, as Tiberius had already died. However, his successor, Caligula, quickly deposed Pontius Pilate. It was not so much for his tolerance or piety, but because stability in the administration of the provinces was essential for his efficient economic exploitation. Caligula ordered Pilate's exile to Gaul. The most accepted theory in the West regarding the tragic death of Pontius Pilate is that he committed suicide with his own sword shortly after arriving at the place of exile. Desolate by his situation and tormented by having ordered the execution of the Son of God. Other sources, such as the Church Fathers, Justin Martyr, and Bishop Tertullian, mention the existence of first-century manuscripts that report Pilate received testimony from the guards of Jesus' tomb, who resurrected him on Sunday morning. Impressed by this event, Pilate decided to send Emperor Tiberius a detailed report of the trial and crucifixion of Jesus. Upon learning of this, Tiberius condemned Pilate to death. According to these manuscripts, Pilate was decapitated by the Roman Empire in 39 after Christ, under the command of Tiberius. Claudia Procula, his wife, is considered a saint in the Greek Orthodox Church and the Ethiopian Church. Surprisingly, Pontius Pilate, the same man who ordered the crucifixion of Jesus, is considered a saint by the Ethiopian Church and the Coptic Egyptian Church. His death is catalogued as that of a martyr. And speaking of the Ethiopian Bible, do you know why it was banned? Do you know all the secrets kept within it? I'll leave here in the cards one of our most important videos. Understand why the Ethiopian Bible was banned. Click and watch. Thank you for your attention, and may you remain under the grace of God. See you soon.